Chemicals exist as liquid, solid, or gas. We typically use chemicals that are either liquid or solid. Gases require specialized equipment and handling. Furthermore, many chemicals are used as aqueous solutions. Liquids and solutions are handled differently from solids. We rarely use a balance to measure liquids. Rather, we measure out a specific volume. There are many ways to measure volume with varying degrees of precision. Small amounts may be estimated by counting drops, while some experiments may require accurate measurement of the volume to the thousandth of a milliliter. Small amounts or caustic materials may be stored in dropper bottles. Before use, always inspect the dropper bottle for droplets on the outside of the bottle. Wipe them off with a chem wipe. In general, 20 drops is approximately 1 milliliter. This rough estimate is usually adequate for experiments using dropper bottles. Beakers and flasks are used for only rough estimates of large volumes. We are more likely to dispense liquids into beakers and flasks from a stock bottle for transfer to graduated cylinders. Remove the lid from the container and set the lid top side down on the counter. This will avoid contamination of the lab bench and contamination of the chemical when the lid is replaced. Replace the lid as soon as you are finished with the chemical to avoid contamination and spills. If you pour out too much of the solution or chemical, do not return the material to the original container. Place the excess material in a waste container. You must always remember that many groups of students will use the same stock solutions. Contamination in one lab by one student can result in erroneous results for as many as 100 students. In the general chemistry laboratory, we will typically measure liquids using glass vessels. Liquid has a curved surface in glass called a meniscus. The volume of liquid is measured from the bottom of the meniscus. The eye must be horizontal with the bottom of the meniscus to avoid errors due to parallax. Parallax refers to the apparent shifting of an object when viewed at different angles. If you view the same meniscus from different angles, the perspective will change. You will typically use a graduated cylinder to measure liquids. 100, 50, and 25 milliliter graduated cylinders have major divisions for every 10 milliliters and subdivisions of 1 milliliter. Therefore, a tenth of a milliliter can be estimated and a volume is recorded to the tenth of a milliliter. Even if the volume is a whole number, the tenth place must be indicated. For example, data recorded as 42.0 milliliters would indicate that the bottom of the meniscus rested exactly on the 42 milliliter mark, not slightly above or below. A 10 milliliter graduated cylinder has major divisions for 1 milliliter and subdivisions of a tenth of a milliliter. Thus, a hundredth of a milliliter can be estimated. This in practice is difficult due to the close spacing of the tenth milliliter marks. Practically, one can tell if the meniscus is right on a mark or between two marks, making an estimation of 0.000 or 0.05 of a milliliter possible. Graduated cylinders are calibrated TC to contain. The final type of glassware we will describe is the pipette. Pipettes are calibrated TD to deliver. There are two types of pipettes, graduated or measuring pipettes and volumetric or transfer pipettes. A graduated pipette is read from the top down. This 10 milliliter pipette is calibrated to the tenth of a milliliter, so the volume may be estimated to the hundredth of a milliliter. A volumetric pipette is calibrated for a set volume, 1 milliliter, 5 milliliters, or 10 milliliters, which is indicated on the pipette. These pipettes are precise to the hundredth of a milliliter. Liquid is drawn into the pipette with one of two types of bulbs, never with your mouth. You risk ingesting chemicals and contamination of chemicals with saliva. The first bulb is operated by applying pressure to one of two valves. First, evacuate the air by squeezing the bulb. The first valve, marked with an up arrow, is used to draw in liquid, and the second valve, marked with a down arrow, is used to dispense liquid. Hold the pipette gently in your hand, not by the bulb. Draw in a small amount of the liquid to be measured and swirl to coat the inner walls of the pipette. Do this 3 times to ensure that the pipette only contains the liquid of interest. Draw in liquid above the graduated line, tilt the pipette slightly, and lift it out of the liquid. Use a Chem wipe to remove any liquid adhering to the outside of the pipette. If you have too much liquid in your pipette, release the excess into a waste beaker. Touch off the tip on the side of the beaker, wipe off the outside again. Drain the liquid into the receiving vessel by placing the tip of the pipette on the side of the container. After all the liquid has drained, wait 15 seconds to allow complete drainage, then twist the tip to remove the last drop. Notice there is a small amount of liquid left in the pipette. Do not force this liquid out. This liquid and any adhering to the walls was taken into account when the pipette was calibrated. The second type of bulb is a simple rubber bulb. Squeeze the bulb to evacuate the air and allow the bulb to expand to draw liquid up into the pipette. Draw liquid past the desired line, then quickly replace the bulb with your finger. If liquid drains from the pipette, try wetting your finger with distilled water to improve the seal. Follow the same procedure described previously. Tilt the pipette and wipe excess liquid from the outside. Drain excess liquid into a waste container until the meniscus rests on the line for the desired volume. Wipe excess liquid and dispense into the receiving vessel. With the Moore or measuring pipette, the liquid should not drain below the lowest calibration mark. Before using the pipette for a second solution, rinse it 3 times with distilled water. Let us review the steps for proper use of a pipette. Rinse 3 times with the solution to be measured. Draw liquid above the graduation mark. Wipe outside of the pipette. Drain to the graduation mark. Dispense into the receiving container. Wait 15 seconds. Twist tip and clean pipette.